So you had a pretty interesting day one. There's this 3-day Crimecon is 3 days. It's really fascinating guest speakers that come out for this that have tons of information. There's meet and greets. You can take photographs. They've got a whole podcaster row inside one of the exhibit where the exhibitors are at, and they really do help podcasters here in all forms of true crime podcasts. But our very own host, Colfax, JT Colfax, had an incredibly interesting day here on day one. We knew that there was going to be some topical guest speakers that got announced late into the game, including Paula Woodward and John Ramsey, the father of John Benet Ramsey, as well as Nancy Grace and some other people that sort of rose up in the ranks of the John Benet murder and case. But
Chris Hansen also today spoke on the John Benet Ramsey case, as did Mindhunter, former head of the behavioral
Douglas, right?
inventor of the behavioral sciences unit, John Douglas, all spoke on the Ramsey case today. And then, what happened that is rich.
We knew that Ramsey was going to be here. He was going to be speaking. JT wanted and had some questions ready for him when he did speak. But JT, you got a little bit up close and personal with John Ramsey.
Didn't have anything prepared for this because I didn't expect this. But me and one of the crew members that carry all this junk up here, he and I were out smoking, and somebody said something about people talk a lot out the smoking areas, and this woman said, like, well, John Ramsey, he was right down at the bottom of the stairs, right, that you had to come up. But there was booths in there made of curtain, and we walked right past him without knowing it. And so when she told us that, we went inside. Sure enough, he was being interviewed by Ashley Banfield. And that interview, we couldn't hear a word, just like watching him. I'm like peeking around the curtain. And but it ended right away. They take his microphone. Not that anything happened, but they take it. It's over, and they take his microphone off, and he starts leaving. There's tables and things for like a horseshoe, big horseshoe, with tech people and all that. So we start walking all the way around that, and he comes more or less our way, and I stepped up and shook his hand. I introduced myself as somebody that's also from the Denver area. And then I just didn't know whether to say anything about me or anything like that. So I just did what probably most stupid question, the dullest question he probably has answered a million times, is like, do you think it'll ever get solved in your lifetime? And he did the very political, I can't give you any fault one way or the other about what we said. It was just a very, very polished question that anybody would give if you've been asked that question 20,000 times. He probably has. We're hoping so, DNA, blah, blah, blah. But somehow in that, he mentioned famous crime scene investigator Lou Smith, who was deeply important in the Ramsey case. And I said, I've met him too. And that's what he really perked up his eyes and went, you met him? And that's what led me to go ahead and tell him. It was very halting for me to say it, like, I don't know how to, look, I'm doing this again, as in, like, it was nerve-wracking, but, I finally told him, like, I am the guy that, I was very severely pressured and mentally ill, and then with all of this police swarming at me, I ended up, doing, I said I threw flaming materials through your mailbox. And he just looked at me, and he went, you're forgiven.
That's it. You are forgiven. That's a cool exchange. Did he get nervous around you? Did he seem like pretty relaxed? He was calm once he found out that you were indeed the infamous house.
he didn't change too much. I mean, he's had to meet so many people, just first in his business life, and then now with things like this, that he didn't suddenly change a whole lot. I felt like he did suddenly started really scrutinizing me, like, and looking into my eyes to see.
I mean, you did shove some.
Yeah.
You tried to burn his house down. Did you know he was in the house at the time, or you?
Duly noted. I'm aware. No, I knew for a fact that nobody was in the house.
Okay,
it
that's
was locked
good.
up.
Well,
good.
We didn't know that John Ramsey was going to be here, so you've been getting these emails of all the guests lineup, and up pops John Ramsey. How did you react when you first heard about that?
Tickets were purchased, so the plan was made to come here. And it was over 2 months before John Ramsey popped up on the list. Some of them they deliberately saved till later, so people keep checking the list. I don't know whether that's what happened to him, but 2 months went by of planning to come here, and then finding out he was going to be here. So I said that to him before I told him the flaming papers thing, because I wanted him to realize, I didn't just scrounge up the money for the Greyhound, come to Nashville for him to do anything or anything like that. Do you want to tell what happened after that?
Well, we had a little snafu with my vehicle broke down, so we are literally broke down in the Music City. We don't have an exit plan at this point. We're gonna have to pull one of a Colfax and stay in the hotel room till the maids unlock the door.
There's a whole freaking jungle
when you
out here.
got thrown out of the hotel in Canada.
Yes. I had to go stand outside bitterly smoking every day, because the first couple of days I was like, no, thank you, but then they insisted. Because I had a hotel room. I wasn't hardly ever leaving it at all. And so I think they started probably thinking I was shooting up there, and they had to make sure, probably somebody, owner or something, told them, every day you need to open that and look at.
So we got to see, of course, Anthony, creator of CSI, a really, really interesting guy, really down to earth. Talked about how his father, that while he was really on the set of CSI, his father, who was at the time, they were, what is it called to be apart from your dad? It's like deranged.
Estranged.
The executive producer of and creator of CSI, an amazing person as far as storytelling, his engagement. We also got to see Ken Maxwell, who covered the Natalia Grace story, in which this girl was adopted from the Ukraine, and the family kind of was not aware of all the challenges in an Eastern European adoption. They tried to essentially get rid of the daughter, by claiming that she was of age. She was a little person. She was suffered from a rare form of dwarfism, and just an engaging story and plot. And now there's a show out, The Curious Case of Natalie Grace. So just the depth of speakers has been fascinating to me.
Earlier than that, I didn't go to that one, and he didn't get a chance to go to this one. I believe the first big thing that happened was Chris Hansen, the Predator hunter, which, by the way, and by the way, a million years later, he started at 20-something years ago, but a million years later, us two, we've probably been on about 13 catches, not always at the same time. So a small amount, when nobody would call us predator hunters that much, but we know what it feels like, and it's something crazy. Anyway, so Chris Hansen, the founder of that sort of thing, interviewed John Douglas, the man who created, modeled the whole, what is it called, the ding dang diddler ding behavioral sciences unit at the FBI. And in the movie Silence of the Lambs, he would have been Clayton or something. He would have been Jodie Foster's boss that plucked her out of the academy and made her do the visit with Hannibal Lecter and all that. So he has been everywhere, all over the FBI career. even if like say he was too young, he was an adult, but everything, like say when the Manson case happened. All right, I believe he said he was 31 in 1979. So yeah, he more like a kid when the Manson case happened. However, once he rose to the elite of all this, he would meet serial killers like that because he was compiling information on all of them rather than particularly hunting one that was current at the time. So he's met them all, and he's not a cussing person. He apologized for it in advance, but when he talked about Manson, he was like, that little shit. You could tell he had a real. He talks about other serial killers as like, oh, and this one's addiction to porn or these type of things in a just a plain matter of fact, these things happen type of way. But Manson was like, you little shit. He hated that little punk. And I can't remember the name of the criminal. I'm from Denver, and I remember when this incident happened. A very, very popular Jewish radio host, when talk radio started becoming like a big thing, Alan Berg, the Aryan Brotherhood came and killed him right on his patio on Adams Street in Denver near the Bluebird Theater. And I had talked to him before just as a joke. A lot of kids did, like in junior high, like call him up and make him mad by saying something stupid. I said that the kids at school are making fun of me, saying I'm gay because I eat my food like a chipmunk. I don't eat my food like a chipmunk. I never did. It was like, I don't have time for this nonsense, and hung up on me. I was very proud of it at the time, and then he got murdered. But that murderer whose name escapes me, he's long been in prison and rotting out there. But John Douglas said that he would prefer when he goes to these prisons, and also he said that usually it's a surprise; they don't let the inmates know. But that particular murderer, that he likes to have the murderers unshackled. So it's like, to him, no problem with that little shit Manson to sit in the same room with him, and he has no handcuffs. But this murderer, he wanted him handcuffed. And just only that one did he say that about. And he's met Dahmer, Gacy, he's met all of them.
We also learned that Crimecon will be going to Denver. Yes, Denver, Colorado is scheduled up next for the Crimecon convention. And it's also will be in London. There is one in London in September.
I think have that.
There's coming up in November. Yeah.
And
I'm trying to just see what we've got here.
I don't know whether we should be advertising for them that much. They may suddenly turn on us.
Well, why is that?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you tell us? So you had this incident with John Ramsey, and it was pretty positive. You guys both came away with sort of some closure. Yeah. Would you say there was some closure between you and John Ramsey?
That was a beautiful moment. Obviously, I'm getting older. I'll be 61 pretty soon. And when my incidents at the Ramsey house happened, I was about 31. So, you know what I mean? It's pretty full circle of life there. Like I still looked very young and all that. And there's a hell of a difference between 31 and 61. And so it's a huge circle here. But it shows like how once something like this happens to you, it just keeps on going. Sometimes, I'm doing an interview and stuff like that now. But, I have lived like a hermit for decades. And I'm not going to just sit and not talk about it anymore, for the rest of my life. But I'm still missing the point. What was the question?
Just some closure between you and John Ramsey, basically.
Oh, yes. It was a very touching moment. And I've always been a Ramsey's did it type of person. But also, like almost everybody, most people never really believed that John Ramsey did it. They could go on about other people. But John Douglas, for instance, also is Chris Hansen. All of these other people are of the opinion that an intruder did it. But that's the whole nut of the Ramsey story, and another time.
I mean, these are all guest speakers together. They're making tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
They're seeing each other's in the speakers lounge, and they're cavorting with each other. So, do you think that plays a role into what John Douglas and Chris Hansen think?
Yeah, Chris Hansen stumbled over like, well, I think I could like to call John Ramsey a friend. Well, maybe not really a friend, but in short, he wants to get out that he's, you know what I mean, like he wants to keep it smooth and cool.
The speakers sort of have an incentive to make nice with each other, as is typical. They're well paid, they're well treated. This is a very high profile event, and they all want to act and be comfortable with each other. And the fact of the matter is, though, the facts don't care, as unfortunately the facts, as we know, don't care about your feelings. There's a lot of feelings in here. There's a lot of incestuous relationships that prevent you from saying the truth. The fact of the matter is, it's very likely that the Ramseys were involved in their daughter's death, and they covered it up, and they covered up the details. So it's hard to see how money and celebrity and opinions aside about John Ramsey and what happened a long time ago, opinions aside about whether he should be here talking at a convention and a conference that's here to protect victims and children and victims of crime. I'm really happy that he treated you with an amount of respect and offered that forgiveness to bring closure to that event and that episode in your life.
Speaking of who and just who and who shouldn't be here at all breathing the air, once again, what always happens is the only possible people that heard my conversation with John Ramsey were the cameraman, John Ramsey, and his current wife, new wife. I think this wife's been there for 15 years or something. So, his wife, and me, and like 5 hours. We went out to dinner while I'm waiting for the food to come and all that. I click on Facebook because the Wi-Fi here stinks to high heaven, and I see immediately that some Karen with the Karen hair is on there posting to all these people that are in there's several groups about being here now, or they were established weeks ago.
The unofficial Crimecon group on Facebook.
Yeah. And she was all telling the story, putting my name in there and saying like, oh, he had the nerve, something like the nerve, the audacity, and the idiocy to, apologize to John Ramsey. It's not exactly like I did, but I was very contrite what I said, and he said, I accept your apology. So that's like splintering hairs. It doesn't matter, but the point is, only 4 people did it, and the cameraman didn't put it anywhere. I didn't put it anywhere. So it came from John Ramsey or his wife, and there's my suspect once again. But
another suspect
who told people that I was here, and they put out like a warning, like said we're trying to. Not so long ago. I mean, like if we started walking around right now, I mean, there's people looking for me now. They want to. I don't know whether they want to ban me from the hotel or from just the events or what. Or if they in any way have the right to do that. But the point is, somebody's making it their business, and then other people that comment on it, she's like, message me. So she's working full time on it. And whatever. You know what I mean? It went fine with John Ramsey. And there's the point of telling him, like, before anything would happen, and here it goes, but was that, I didn't come here for you, if you didn't come here, I'd just still been here. It was already planned, But somebody has to dig for it's always for their own benefit. It isn't like warning, he's going to harm you, burn you, or anything like that. Well, they're doing that, but they do it so they can be the one to say it, So now I'm in a hotel with 6,000 screaming true crime buffs who now think they have some kind of I am a world-class weirdo. but they mean it in a bad way.
How surreal was it for you, Colfax, that this family that for nearly 30 years of your life you've been sort of attached in a number of ways, mostly negative and derogatory. For the first time in your life, you're standing in front of this man that has had this impact. I mean, not because he tried to have the impact. It's just, here is this man that has impacted your life. Whether you caused most of that impact, whether it was mostly negative, standing in front of you had never met John Ramsey before, ever. You'd never been face to face with him, ever. And for 30 years, you've been associated with him and his family. Walk me through the surreal moment of all of a sudden you're standing in front of John Ramsey.
You know that the cameraman and I actually said that when he gets back and we tell him about this and he asks any questions about it, that we should go and not say anything, which he would kill us for. But it's hard to describe that because, yeah, it's surreal as hell. Once John Ramsey was announced to be coming here, after like 2 months of already knowing him coming, then there's 2 more months knowing he's going to be here. There was all kinds of debate with like, what should I say? If I get a chance to say something, what would I say? But I never pictured it would be like, we joked about things like, what if you open up, the elevator opens up and it's him? And I've just started really leaning on the idea of like, I'm not going to say anything or do anything. And I don't, I can make a lot of noise, write a lot of letters to a town and, cause people to be all upset. But I do not like speaking to a crowd of people. And I would not like to have John Ramsey speak, which we're seeing him tomorrow, in front of like 3,000 people. And when a microphone opportunity comes up, I come up and screech something nasty. It could, make some noise. But anyone could do that. And I was totally against the idea of anything like that. I didn't want to. And then he's like right there. So
right in front of you.
And this is like after I come out of the hotel room, they get here with the cameras and stuff. I just walk out down there get over to the places. It's right after that. It's like it's not the second day it happened or the third day or last minute. It's the first thing that happens to me. I can't believe it. Anyway, I come up. When we figure out where he is, I come up, open like a little piece of a curtain for the Ashley Banfield set, and he's right there. I look over at the camera and I'm looking in. And I'm like, I can't believe it. And don't take this as any sick way of like, oh, it's like Mick Jagger or a Beatle or a Taylor Swift or something, because that would imply like fanship for somebody or something. It's not like a fan nor an enemy, but it is that link that goes back so painful and weird. And he's right there. So it was like a living... you could hardly have somebody parade past me. Taylor Swift walks by. I'm going to be like, what the hell? I'll be noticing all these things, but you're not going to have me have a reaction like, oh my God, that's John Ramsey.
Well, do you have any, what are you looking forward to for day 2 and day 3?
I would like a bowl of frosted flakes, but I don't see how that's going to happen. And there's nothing here. I think you can't go there's nothing, you know what I mean? And the gouging, the sodas are $5 at the vending machines. People are starving in this this 5-star luxury